Hey guys, welcome to another episode of our podcast series where we discuss the role of language and communication at different stages of a legal professional's life. For today's episode, we have with us Mr. Harsh Gagarani, founder director of Legal Edge Tutorials. Harsh sir is an NLIU graduate and has been training law aspirants for a decade now. He has transformed the face of law entrance education in the country and ensured a smooth transition to online learning for students amidst this pandemic. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, Ansahil.
Thank you, sir. So, I'm Sahil and I'll be moderating the discussion for the day. And with me, I have some friends to participate in our discussion. So, sir, how's it going in the pandemic? How are the students doing?
Whew. So I think it's been over a year now since the first mega lockdown was announced, which was I think the 22nd of March 2020.
Yeah,
Uh, Now I think pretty much most of you would remember that it was a very sudden transition from core offline classes to pretty much everything was going online for the next 6 odd months. So yes, obviously it was a tough phase for everyone. It was a tough phase for you guys also. It was a tough phase for teachers also. A lot of you guys and a lot of us were doing things that we were doing for the first time. So taking a lot of classes and giving assignments, taking mocks online, and punching in those answers after taking the mocks offline, and
yeah,
getting
yeah.
the doubts cleared in an online mode on Telegram or on
Telegram.
emails and things like that. So it was a tough time, and it's still a tough time owing to the second wave now. So it's an almost lockdown where I live. That's Bhopal, and it seems like it's gonna be like this at least for the next few weeks at least.
Yeah.
So yes, it's tough. It's a learning phase for pretty much everyone, but yes, that's what it is because health has to be the first priority. So yes, the students are coping up. The students are now more accustomed to the online mode of learning as compared to how it was last year. So yes, it's better than last year, but it's still a learning curve for pretty much everyone. That's how it is.
Sure. So we remember all those things in the last year. So, sir, you have been training law aspirants for almost a decade now. How do you see the evolution of importance of proficiency in English to clear these various law interests held across the country?
So yes, so I started off in 2011, but so CLAD, the first CLAD and the first SHALET were held in 2008, and so the first 3 years at least, CLAD did not really have it did have English as a subject, but the paper was not extremely English oriented. They had a few reading comprehension passages and stuff like that, but it was majorly knowledge oriented. So I remember 2011 being the first paper which was predominantly language oriented. They had all the reading comprehension questions. They had all the lengthy legal reasoning questions. I'm sure you guys must have solved that while solving the previous year's questions. They had predominantly critical reasoning questions. Even the current affairs questions, it involved a little bit of language also because the questions were lengthier than usual. So, but then for the next 3 odd years, again, it was majorly knowledge oriented. But yes, uh, you know, since the last 2 to 3 years, obviously, as all of you know, since the pattern changed in 2019 November, and the first CLAT 2020, it happened in the new pattern. That is now predominantly language oriented. So it's all comprehension based. Even while solving current affairs as well as quantitative techniques questions, you need to have some base of knowledge, even though you're not completely proficient in English, but you need to have some base of knowledge. And the remaining three sections, they are completely language oriented. That's English, legal, and critical reasoning. So that's for CLAD. And regarding ALIT, which is for NLU Delhi. So for NLU Delhi, ever since the very beginning, they've been pretty clear that we require students of this kind of a capability or this kind of capabilities. So they've been asking questions. They've been asking a lot of questions which are connected to English language since the very beginning, which means they have more reading comprehension and basic grammar-based questions as compared to other entrances. They have more critical reasoning questions. Every year, I think, barring just 1 year from 2008 to 2020, NLU Delhi has asked at least 5 critical reasoning questions. Uh, you know, Even the other CR questions, so they are more inclined towards CR than CLAT. Recently, CLAT has been more inclined towards CR, but NLU Delhi has always been inclined towards CR. Even the legal reasoning questions, they are lengthier than the usual ones. I'm sure you guys know better than me all these things. But yes, so NLU Delhi has been more focused on the language skills of the students as compared to CLAT. CLAT has been recently focused, and but the good thing is they have an ideology behind that, which was pretty well put forward by Professor Faizan Mustafa in a video which he took in November 2019. That we don't want students who ratify a lot. We don't want students who just know a lot of facts, but they do not know how to comprehend things. They do not know how to analyze things. They do not know how to view something critically. So now their paper is more in sync with their ideology. I think earlier there was a mismatch between the ideology, the kind of students that they wanted, and the kind of paper that they were making. So now it seems that it's more in sync with their ideology. So it seems that this kind of a pattern is here to stay, unless there is a hypothetical shift in consortium and it goes to NTA and stuff like that. But if the paper stays with the consortium, I think it's here to stay, this kind of pattern. So yes, the importance of language skills has definitely increased in the last few years.
Yes, definitely, sir. As you mentioned, the CLAD pattern has become very English oriented now, and it holds a lot of importance in other exams as well. However, lately there has been a lot of hue and cry regarding the language barriers in legal education. A lot of people have raised the demand of conducting these entrances at least in two languages, and like we can look after that as well. Like it could become multilingual. So, in your experience of mentoring students, do you think even after putting lots of effort, students primarily from non-English background find it difficult to clear these exams, and how has been the scenario in the online?
Yeah. So if the question is that would the students from the non-English speaking background would it be impossible for them to clear the prominent law entrances? The answer would be no, because I've seen a lot of students who were not predominantly from an English speaking background, but in a year or two they worked extremely hard and they landed in a college which they truly deserved. But if the question is that is it difficult for them, the answer is it's a let's just address the elephant in the room. The answer is yes. uh, because see the now, since the paper itself is language oriented, uh, a lot of students have now started preparing right from class 11th or class 12th. Drop is still sort of a last option for the students. So there are two people. One, me. I'm from a Hindi medium background. I've never really seen English with that kind of an importance. And there's a very good friend of mine who's from a proper English medium background. He's from a proper tier one city. Has participated in a lot of debate competitions and extempore, and he's written a lot of articles. He has been reading an English newspaper since the last few years. There's general culture of language in his family, in his friends, everywhere. So it'll be very difficult for me to, yes, I can definitely improve my skills in the next 2 years, or for whatever length which I'm preparing. But it's not as if he's not doing anything. Obviously, he'd be improving, at a much greater pace because he has a much better base as compared to me in the next 2 years. Uh, that is one. And secondly, all the students, they just compete for a very, very limited number of seats. So had it been that the number of seats are close to 5,000 or 10,000 for 50, 60,000 aspirants, of which the serious aspirants are barely 20,000, it would still have been a pretty even ground. But what we are competing for is barely a few hundred very good seats. And close to 20,000 extremely serious students are vying for those seats. So yes, here, a background in language skills, it definitely plays a huge role. So it's slightly unfair, yes, but you know the law entrances, they're merely the first it's sort of the first door uh, in the whole legal profession. Once you enter, once you're on the other side, you'll understand the language of English is even more. So let's say hypothetically CLAD is also conducted in Hindi, or ALET or another prominent law entrances are also conducted in Hindi, hypothetically speaking. Once the students who are extremely comfortable with Hindi but not comfortable with English, they enter the law school, they'll understand that they're not just, that was not the only hurdle that they had to face. Once they've cleared that hurdle, there are a lot of hurdles pretty much everywhere. So in the upper judiciary, pretty much everything happens in English. In the whole corporate world, pretty much everything happens in English. In the law firms, in academia, pretty much everywhere, everything is happening in English. Now that's a reality that we'll have to accept before we can probably find out a solution. We cannot be, आग बंद करके यहाँ पे नहीं बैठ सकते हैं और ये बोले कि बस वहां पर हमने किया तो ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा. इफ नथिंग, प्रॉब्ली वो प्रॉब्लम मैग्नीफाई हो सकता है, which is one criticism of the reservation system also. बहुत बार reservation के चक्कर में बहुत बार this happens that there have been a lot of students who have faced a lot of issues inside the top law schools, the top engineering colleges. So yes, every side has two coins. We cannot view it in a very absolute way. So yes, it's unfair, but there is a reason behind that. We'll have to understand that, and just changing the mode of just the entrance examination would not really solve the problem. In fact, under the current circumstances, it might increase the problem for those students. So yes, that's what it is.
Sir, in previous question, you talked about the barriers, language barriers that some students face. So, sir, since mentors are the first ones to whom students go with their problems, so how do you help them overcome these barriers?
I think the suggestions to the students are usually the most obvious ones. They have to surround themselves with the English language everywhere. So every reading that they do, every movie that they watch, every TV series that they watch, every web series that they watch, everything that they're doing, as far as possible, it has to be in English. If they really have to improve, at a very fast pace in a very limited span of time, they've got to read a lot. They've got to read a lot of. The Hindu is an obvious, Hindu or Indian Express. That's a very obvious choice. And then there is no, second or third option here. These are the only two options which a student should go for. Then naturally, a lot of very good journals or periodicals is what they should be reading. The standard books, which I'm sure everyone, all of you guys also must have read, The Word Power Made Easy and the 30 Days to a More Powerful Vocabulary. And, so you just have to surround yourself with the language, with English language as much as possible to really improve yourself in a very limited span of time. And secondly, unless we are also not reading that much, unless we are also not interacting that much in English, I don't think the students will ever have confidence in the mentors also. So even we always have to be on our toes. We have to watch the TV series before the students watch it. We have to watch the movies before the students watch it. So on a more serious note, even we have to be extremely well read. So we ensure that most of the mentors here, even they are reading an English newspaper daily. Even they are very well versed with a lot of, very well versed generally with English language. So yes, that is what we suggest to the students. Read a lot. Read at least for a couple of hours daily. Read diverse literature. So that's normally what the suggestion is, Anas.
Sir, as you talk about having confidence towards mentors, as changing tracks from a student-centric discussion, do you think a teacher's lack of English-speaking abilities bring down their impact on the students, or do the students possess this kind of idea that a teacher proficient in English is a better teacher?
Pretty controversial question. But yeah, see, but that quote is there because we do judge a book by its cover. So, normally whenever we are studying from any faculty, we're learning from any faculty for the first time, amongst the first visual cues that we get, it's normally it's one of them at least is the language. So yes, a faculty with a better language skill than other faculties, they would definitely, get brownie points in the beginning. But it's only for the first couple of classes maybe. After the first couple of classes, it's ultimately how well you're able to communicate, how well you're able to inspire the students, how well read you are in your own subject. So ultimately, it's the effectiveness of the faculty. But yes, at least initially, I think it's a part of human nature that we get. We feel that a faculty with better language skills, probably they would be a better faculty. But it's a myth which usually gets busted in the first few lectures itself. And secondly, at least from law entrance point of view, this is only applicable in a couple of, in at least 3 subjects. It's definitely applicable in English, it's applicable in legal, and it's applicable in critical reasoning. Because this is where the language skills are really important to the faculty also. But for analytical reasoning, mathematics, GK, it's ultimately how comfortable they are with their own subjects. So yes, it does matter, but it matters for a very short period of time. Harshit.
Sir, you said that this profession can be, or rather is unfair sometimes. So talking about an issue that legal being a profession dependent on language and communication, and India being a common law country, where the curriculum for students primarily includes different readings talking about different jurisdictions or readings from professors of prestigious foreign universities. So, do you agree that proficiency in English language has to be there if we desire to produce lawyers at par with international standards and scholars who can really uplift the credibility and the quality of Indian academia?
Yes, it. See, we have again, if we see the things as they truly are. Uh, so under the current scenario, and even for the next few decades, uh, English language is here to stay. Let's just there's no other way to say this. English language is here to stay. It is everywhere. So it's there in the law firms. It's there in upper judiciary, as I said. It's even there in most of the high courts now. It's slowly coming to the lower judiciary also. It's there in the corporate. It's there in the law firms. So there has to become some common language, which and most of the people, not just of your own country, because once you enter the corporate, you'll understand that a lot of times you're not working only for clients which are from India, but you're also working for clients which are from outside India. And India being one of the outsourcing hubs in the world, in fact, one of the primary outsourcing hubs, India has been a go-to place for people for the countries which are looking for outsourcing because of its English skills. So if we go back to some other language, if we try to make the complete ecosystem more Hindi oriented or some third language Sanskrit oriented, it's not going to work well for the country as a whole. So this might be slightly unfair. This might be slightly controversial. There might be different ways of getting rid of this problem, but it would not start when a student is 17, 18 years of old. It should ideally start at the primary stage, at a pre-primary stage itself. So this is not a problem that you can solve once the student is, finished up his class 12, and then you are, so that's not a problem that you can solve over there, because then you're talking about changing the whole ecosystem, not just of one industry, but of the whole country and probably the whole world. So the whole world is moving more towards the English language. So yes, there's a reason again why, because it's a common mode of communication which is acceptable to most of the countries. So there's a reason why English is so famous these days, and you'll have to. I don't think that law entrances should be held in Hindi, at least the prominent ones, because that'll be terribly unfair for the students who will ultimately be cracking it. In fact, just a few days ago, Honorable Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, I'm sure you guys must have read that he opined that discrimination begins at the very entrance stage itself. But the irony is that even his whole speech was in English. So again, no disrespect anywhere, but see, even he understands that the whole ecosystem that is English oriented. You cannot just solve the problem बीच में एक जगह पे, बाकी चीजों पे मैं सब कुछ जैसा है मैं वैसे ही रहने दूं, बीच में एक जगह पर मैं कुछ चेंज कर दूं. That'll be disastrous generally, specifically for the students whom you are trying to help. So yes, a kind of balance has to be reached. There's no ideal solution यहाँ पे, but a kind of balance has to be reached here.
Sir,
But that cannot be just by changing the mode. Yes, Vinay.
Yeah, sir. So don't you think we should give the students who lack in essential English language, lack the essential command of English language, to give them a gateway by conducting multilingual examination? Isn't that a viable option? Like, at least there should be some starting point now.
See, I think the starting point at the law entrance level would be disastrous. If the starting point is at the schooling level, if the starting point is, so hypothetically speaking, I don't know how viable this would be, but let's say hypothetically speaking, there's a ecosystem where right from class 8, or let's say right from class 6 or 7th, there's a mechanism where the student is trained to understand which career he might be suited for. So there's nothing too magical about class 11th कि मैं 11th में आया, मेरे को एकदम से क्लियर हो गया मुझे लॉ करना है. It's just that society अभी 11th में ही चूज करती है, तो हम लोग 11th में चूज करते हैं, या 12th में, या 12th के बाद. So let's say the same thing is shifted right from class 11th to class 7th. And if in class 7th or in class 8th, students understand that this is a career that they wish to go for, and in this career, this is the kind of language proficiency which I'd be requiring. And a kind of training mechanism is developed which goes on for at least 3 to 4 years. Till class 12th, this guy who was not predominantly from English language background now is almost equally conversant in this language as compared to any other Tom, Dick or Harry in the country. So this is where you're giving an even ground to everyone. If you're just giving a certain kind of an advantage, at the law entrance level, without really solving any problem of the past or any problem of the future, you just बीच में एक मैं छोटा सा वो कर देता हूँ because that's just more convenient, which is a criticism of a lot of government schemes. जो convenient होता है उसको बीच में एक जगह पे सही कर देते हैं, पर उसके पहले का और उसके बाद का अगर सही नहीं करा तो you are hurting the students or you are hurting the people that you are actually trying to help. So yes, that might be a quick fix. That is something that consortium just have to take one meeting and decide that we'll also have a paper in Hindi. It's something which won't take more than half an hour. The paper itself won't take more than a couple of hours to make. But it's not something which will solve the problem. You're either talking about changing the whole ecosystem, one, which is going to take more efforts. The second is something where the kind of students who would like to, from Hindi medium background, would like to go for law, if they are given certain kind of training in the school itself or by some additional institutes, but not in class 11th. 11th is still fine, but it's still late. It's fine. It's the best that we can get right now, but it's a couple of years for improving your English language skills. It's not. You need more time. So if something on this sort can be started around class 7, class 8, that'll really help these kids. So
Yes, sir, makes sense. I hope this podcast reaches to the consortium also.
I really hope it does not reach to the consortium.
Yeah. So, sir, it was a very insightful and fun discussion with you, and we really enjoyed recording this episode with you. So, sir, do you wish to make any concluding remarks?
So firstly, thank you so much, Sahil, for having me here, and everyone else, obviously. Second, just to summarize everything which I just said, because see, three of you are my students, and even the other two of you, I'm sure because you've been in the part of the industry, the kind of problems that you. Thank you so much, Vinny. Thank you. So point is, all of us understand, all of us see the reality firsthand. You guys could crack NLU Delhi, but you knew a lot of your friends who could not crack the law entrances. So all of us are a part of the system, and we understand that there are no quick fixes. The quick fixes can pacify a few people for the time being, but they won't really solve the problem. You'll have to solve the problem on a more fundamental level. You'll just have to inculcate the language skills, at a very early stage, and probably the best that you can do is you can just tone down the level of difficulty of the CLAT paper and not make it too English oriented. But again, even that has a flip side also, because then the kind of students that you might be getting might not be ideal for the law school itself. So yes, to summarize, there are no quick fixes. Number one, the language is here to stay, as much as we would not like to admit it, but we are a part of that. Number two, and there's a reason behind that, because the whole ecosystem is language oriented. Number three, let's hope we find solutions in a few years, but there doesn't seem to be any solution, at least in sight, for the people who are predominantly from Hindi speaking background. But yes, again, for the students who might be listening to this and who are not that conversant in English, understand one thing, that, as I said in the very beginning also, it's not as if that we haven't seen students, or it's impossible for the students who are predominantly from Hindi speaking background to crack CLAT. There are n number of such examples. You guys would be having a lot of examples around you, or you guys might be one of those examples, to be very honest. But so yes, everything is possible. You just need to just devote a lot of time, devote a lot of efforts, and I think that's it.
Yeah, sir. So thank you, sir. You have been really supportive all the way from the word go. I don't think it could have been any better. So thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Sahil. Thank you, everyone.